calling tonight's Board of Park Commissioners meeting. Betty, could you please read the roll?
Alderperson Ledvina,
Here.
Ryan Jennings,
Here.
Melissa Thiel Collar,
Here.
Jim Kneisel,
Here.
Connor Mason,
Here.
Connor Goodman.
Here.
Should have done that before the meeting. We're just
All
correct.
right.
I never know if I
And
should do it when they're talking, when someone's talking.
Amy, Randy, and Dean are excused. And go ahead and start with our public comment on matters not on the agenda. Any comments? Matters not on the agenda pertaining to the Parks Board? See anybody calling in? If there are none, we'll continue on to tonight's items. First up is consideration and possible action to approve the Board of Park Commissioner minutes from March 21st, 2024.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? If none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item 2, consideration and possible action to approve a $2,500 donation from Greta Johnson for the Recreation Scholarship Fund.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I would simply thank Greta for continuing to fund the scholarship fund. It looks like she's been doing this annually for the last 5 years, so thank you. That is amazing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Item 3, consideration and possible action to approve a $500 donation from GRAEF for prizes for the beer gardens.
It's actually 600.
600. Should have brought my cheaters. All right. Anything we need to know about any of that, Marty, that's not listed? Do we have a motion to approve? I'll make that motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 4, consideration and possible action on changing the policy related to the use of the tot pool during swim lessons.
Hi. Hello. I appreciate the memo you put together. I spoke with Amy earlier this week about the top pool usage, and we both feel pretty strongly that we'd like to see something offered for the little ones. Not every day. I don't think that would be appropriate, but just see what kind of interest we have if we offer 1 or 2 days at one pool, whichever pool you think would be easier, or 1 day at one pool, the other pool. I really feel for the issue that was raised as a mom who, last year wasn't really able to use the pool because of nap time. I totally feel for her, and I just think for the amount it would cost, it would be well worth it to try it out for a season.
And so from the memo, again, I guess from the park board's perspective, you can give us whatever guidance, you feel appropriate. It certainly can be done, but as staff, we would not recommend doing it unless we were to hire additional staffing. So, that would allow a level of security and safety, I think, that we could allow it to happen. If you're looking for one or the other, I don't know if one is better or worse than the other. Chelsea may have an opinion on that.
As far as pools, you mean?
As far as pools, just from my perspective, my gut feeling would be Legion would be a better option simply because of the amount of traffic that we have at VFW. It gets while it might be a little easier for us to monitor people coming in and out to the top pool, VFW also has presented us a lot of challenges with the sheer quantity of swim lessons that go in and out of there. So that becomes a challenge. So Legion, we could make it work, but we would recommend having a staff person that is there, and their sole purpose is to monitor tots coming in and out and making sure that they stay in the tot pool and they don't wander around and cause grief for our swim lessons.
To be clear, that would be my intent, would
Okay.
be with somebody staffed to watch.
Thanks. Just so I understand a little background here, it's been at least 20 years, maybe a little bit longer since I used the tot pool, but it was someplace back then that you could just show up and supervise your kids in the tot pool, and I don't remember there being any different hours. You just went when it was convenient because little kids need to blow off energy at different times of the day. Is that the case 20 years ago? Was there a requirement for some kind of oversight?
I don't know how we operated 20 years ago,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. About 15 years ago, 10 years ago, we allowed people to come during the morning hours. We allowed people to come in and utilize the tot pool while swim lessons were going on. So we did allow it. Now, a couple of the differences from 15 years ago to today. 15 years ago, we didn't have the aquatic center. 15 years ago, we didn't have the sheer numbers that we have today of people wanting to use the tot pool combined with swim lessons.
But in the tot pool, are kids required to be supervised by parents?
No, and that's not the challenge. So
Okay.
in the tot pool, we do not provide lifeguarding services in the tot pool because a child is supposed to be supervised by a guardian. So we do not provide any lifeguarding. What I'm referring to, though, is a monitoring person from the people coming out of the locker rooms to the tot pool. And if you want, here, give me just a second.
Sure.
So this is Legion Pool.
Okay. Yep.
This is the rough exit of each of the locker rooms. Okay? When they come out, a child and their parent has to go this way, and this is our gate. Once they're in here, they're in a secured environment and everything's wonderful and dandy. The problem is that when they come out of this area right here, they are walking right into the middle of our swim lesson operation. If little Johnny walks out here and mom turns around or dad turns around and they take off this way, that child is now unsupervised. We have no idea what they're doing and they're not accounted for. So if we stationed a person basically right here and we monitored people coming out of the locker room, are you here for swim lessons? Yes, you go here. Are you here for the tot pool? Yes, you go there. And they make sure that's where they go and someone doesn't get mixed in with one group or the other. That's what we would be looking to provide. Otherwise, if there's no one there monitoring it, little Johnny can go walk right into the swim lessons and cause a stir, and it's a problem.
And you couldn't isolate the tot pool with fencing and then have a different gate and just let people go into the tot pool.
Well, it does have a different gate, but by code, they have to come in through the front of the pool facility, go through the locker rooms, out onto the pool deck. So we wouldn't be able to make a gate over here that they could walk into.
Somehow, I think 20 years ago, it was run differently and you didn't go through the locker room just to go to the tot pool. But
Yeah,
I might be wrong about that.
health code-wise, legally, if you are going into any of the waters, you are supposed to shower.
Okay.
Cannot sit here and tell you that occurs. Whether it's the top pool or the main pool, it doesn't matter. You are supposed to shower.
I can tell you 15 years ago, you went through the locker room to the top
Locker room.
pool.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I understand the situation now.
Yeah.
It'd be a shame not to be able to utilize it at least some of the time.
Yeah, I did speak with the woman who came to the meeting last month, and she said that they would be happy with anything, 1 day or 2 days a week.
I mean, it's up to the part, we can certainly do that. We would have to look at staffing and what the cost of that is. If we would be able to consume it, we wouldn't take it forward to council. If we don't think we could consume it, and a lot of that's going to depend on you. If you're going to say, just do 1 day at Legion, probably a good bet we can consume that. If you're going to say, well, we want to have 2 days at Legion, 2 days at VFW, well, that adds up, and I'm not sure we have that money anymore. Then we may have to go to council and ask for additional funds. So it's going to depend a little what you would like to see, but we could do whatever variation that you would like. But it comes out to about $50 a day.
Marty, just your opinion, if we offered it in a very limited fashion or schedule, like 2 hours a day, 2 days a week, do you think people would utilize it, or would they just try to show up at different times and it would, after they had bad experiences, they wouldn't come back?
Well, I think the comment that Alderperson, Definite received, I think it's an indication there is a need. I don't dispute that at all. I think if you were to offer it, I do think people would come. From the administration side, we do worry about the confusion that it causes, and when you have confusion, it causes safety concerns, and that's probably more important than anything. But do I think people would use it? If we were able to create a regimented schedule, yeah, I do.
Thanks.
Marty, are all the people, what's the level of training of the people who are actually teaching the swim lessons?
It's a great question, Ryan. I'm not sure I have a great answer for you, and
Yeah,
I don't think Chelsea's
I'm just
here.
kind of asking how many people with lifeguard skills are actually on the pool deck.
Well, all of our swim classes have 1 to 2 instructors. Not all the time, because if we have two swim instructors, sometimes one person is not lifeguard certified. But almost every one of our swim instructors are lifeguard certified, and they also go through a swim instructor training with Chelsea, who heads our pools. So there's certainly training that occurs with all of our staff, and by all accounts, from what I've seen in comments we've seen, they do a great job with swim lessons. But now keep in mind, that's not the safety concern that I'm referring to.
I guess what I'd be interested in is if, basically anybody bringing a tot into the pool area is under that instruction that if we allow this situation to happen where your tot goes somewhere other than directly to this, we are not going to be able to offer this. And just that a higher level of knowledge for the people, what's expected of them when, I guess I'm just trying to find a way that you don't have to hire staff, and we can use the parents themselves as the gatekeepers.
Yeah, I would highly, I know what you're saying. I would highly encourage you not to go that way, because we could make a plea and all the parents would be all right in there. In about 3 weeks, you're going to have new parents stopping in that haven't heard the spiel and aren't going to care. So we need to provide a level of safety and security on that pool deck, and the only way to do it is to have a person watching people coming in and out.
Fair enough. I just wanted to vet that out, that it couldn't be a volunteer, couldn't be a...
Well, it could be a volunteer. It just needs and it doesn't even need to be a lifeguard. It needs to be someone that monitors the people coming in and out and making sure they go where they're supposed to go. So it could be a facility attendant. It could be a volunteer. Problem with volunteers is if the volunteer doesn't show up, now what? You have no recourse. So volunteers are great if you have them and they're gonna be there. But I can't sit here and guarantee you that we would have volunteers all the time.
Any, Amy? God,
Shayna.
it's a night. Shayna.
So if we decide to have you move forward with this, you'll look at it with staff and determine the best route to go, and we may or may not see this at council.
Well, what I would want to know from Park Board is the quantity that you are looking for staff to provide. If it's 1 day a week at one of the pools, that's what we'll look at, and if we determine that we can consume it within our budget, it won't go to council and we'll just implement it. Where is that line? I'm not sure. But we kind of need to know from you is, do you want 1 day a week at each pool? Do you want 2 days a week at each pool? 2 days a week at one pool and call it good? That's the direction we would need from you before I can go to the next step.
Okay, so I would say look at 2 days. I would like you to look at 2 days. And I think just for ease of getting the word out and scheduling, it would make more sense just to have it at maybe one pool. Otherwise it gets confusing, 1 day at Legion, Thursday at VFW, or is it 1 day at VFW? I think it would, and it sounds to me like maybe Legion would be the better option anyway for just facilitating this, so.
I think so. It's also from an administrative standpoint too, because if you remember, we have two different kinds of memberships. You can get Legion only or both pools. So if you did VFW only and someone has a Legion pool pass only, now they don't get to go to VFW. But this way you're hitting everybody that has an annual pass, no matter which one they have.
If you do it at one at each.
If you do it at Legion.
You're hitting everyone.
So we have two different options for annual passes. The option number one is you can get Legion only. The other option is you can get both of our pools. So it's a little bit higher price, but it allows you to go to VFW and Legion. If you do it at Legion, no matter who has an annual pass, they're all going to have
So
an
there's not a
opportunity to
VFW
go.
only.
There's not a VFW
Gotcha.
only.
Okay, that's a good point.
Jim.
Shayna, how do you feel about 2 hours, 2 mornings a week at Legion?
I think that would be great.
Like, whatever 2 mornings would work out for.
Yeah, and I think we're obviously, I would consult with Chelsea because there's swim lessons, but there's also other things that are going on, ranging from staff training to lap swim. I mean, there's all kinds of. So we can look at 2 days and then pick the 2 days that fit in best with all the other stuff that's going on, and we would plan for Legion.
Okay.
So and then we'll break the budget down, and if we think we can consume it, I'll report back. If we don't think we can consume it, we'll summarize it and send it to council.
I would just like to reemphasize that the season is short and we invest a lot of money in the upkeep of that. It's a shame to not utilize it fully. So I would support something like that, the 2 mornings for 2 hours myself.
Sounds like a motion.
Well, you already had a motion. Did you have a motion?
No,
Okay.
I'm making it.
I guess I'll make a motion. We ask you to check into 2 mornings, 2 hours a morning, just at Legion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We are on to item 5, consideration and possible action to approve changes in the holiday light show.
We normally don't bring stuff like this forward, when we're talking change, but it's kind of a big program and it's kind of bigger changes to it. We think we can do everything within our budget still, which is great. But the reason we're bringing it here is because it's kind of a big curveball when it comes to the program. So we're looking at adding days. We're looking at trying to embrace the Nelson Pavilion as part of the project. So those are, and we're also looking at making it 1 day a walking event.
I like all the changes. I would make a motion to approve those changes.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Jim?
Just that I think it's exciting to add that, and I think it'll be very popular. And I hope it doesn't conflict too much with the Historical Society's Santa.
I don't know.
Situation.
I don't know what Santa situation they have.
They used to. You know,
They
does
still-
anybody know they're still doing it? Maybe you could coordinate with them and give them a day off. Because they do it, I think, several days.
I think we took a look at the different activities. I don't know if that's one of them, but we looked at where Santa is. And we tried our very best to make sure that the day we're having it, he was free. If that makes sense.
He's very busy.
Is he? Maybe he's the same guy. I don't know.
Santa's all the same guy.
That's true.
I was just trying to see when they did it. They do it in early December.
Yeah, it's like the first week of December, that Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Is it just one
I
weekend?
would.
It's just one weekend.
It's just one weekend, okay.
Yeah. And then De Pere Holidays does.
Yeah, and I know we did consult with them.
Okay.
One thing I will mention, I'm not going to let it out yet, but next year's holiday show has an incredibly big surprise coming. So, and that's about all I will start teasing from now until next December, but it is a very, very big surprise.
Is there like dancing and?
It's a very big surprise.
I won't be able to sleep tonight.
Yeah, me neither.
All right, any further discussion? We have a motion and a second on the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Consideration and possible action to approve the rental procedure and fees for the Nelson Family Pavilion.
So I apologize, the actual brochure was not in your packet. So I have it up on the screen for you. Your memo has the changes, but when you look at the brochure, it sometimes makes it easier. So real quickly, after talking with multiple communities, I did not propose changing the weekday fee. However, the weekend/holiday fee, the proposal is now that we raise it to $400 a day for resident and De Pere-based nonprofits, and then $550 a day for non-resident and all other not-for-profit or for-profits.
Artie, can I just ask?
I'm
another
sorry,
thing?
yes.
Do you have holidays defined somewhere?
No. We do not have it listed, but any national holiday we would define as in here.
Do you think you should put that in the brochure?
Okay. We can add that. Yep. And then so I apologize. We did add a fee based on conversation last time for profit organizations. So it's a for-profit company coming in to do a for-profit event. And so then that would be $750 per day. The other thing that we added, so we added the add-on price for the bowl of $250 a day. But the other thing that we also talked with other communities, they allow advanced registration for the De Pere residents and the main civic groups. So what most of the communities do, the reoccurring civic events get penciled in before 1 year. At 1 year, De Pere residents have a chance to start reserving the facility. At 6 months, non-residents, for-profit, and outside not-for-profit organizations now have a chance to rent it. So your De Pere residents and De Pere-based civic groups have a 6-month crack at renting the facility before anybody else does. So that's why we ended up putting that in there. So those were ultimately the main changes. So we would also propose adding the defined holidays as part of the brochure. I don't know if that meets what you were thinking from last time.
Yeah, I'll just speak to it. I think this is a great start. My question would be if we decided we wanted to change the fees, how does that affect anybody who's already booked
Well, no one's booked it yet.
Well, I mean, like, let's say after this year, we decide we want to increase the fees. When does that happen? And
Well, every year,
fee schedule?
December,
Yeah.
something like that. Every year, fees get increased. So how we have worked it is that if someone has reserved the facility under a current approved fee, that's what they get.
Got it.
So once the fees get adopted and changed, if they come in that next day, they're paying the new fee.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, do we have a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes, and we are done with our items and heading on to discussion items. Marty?
No.
No.
Well, we are, oh, all right, I thought you were talking staff updates already. So we are at, so the capital improvement plan, I gave you the memo. It's actually, it's very similar memo that I've given the last 7 years because our rules haven't changed. So the capital plan that you're looking at, it's a 7-year plan. It's our portion of the entire city plan. So Public Works has a plan, Fire Department, Police Department, they all have a plan. It all gets put together and then it gets submitted to the city council for adoption. Keep in mind, it's a plan. So this is a document that is used that helps city in their borrowing cycle, et cetera, helps us in our budget preparation. When you look at the plan, it doesn't mean that that project and that funding is approved. So again, I'll go back, this is a plan. We use it during our budget time to submit our budget to the mayor. Also in the memo, I had mentioned the priority ranking that we give, it's kind of based on certain factors. It's on, is it a safety issue? Is it a repair issue? Is it something that has been regurgitated for a number of years? Is it something that's brand new? So we try to add a priority rank. You are more than welcome to ask for adjustments to that. You're not going to hurt my feelings whatsoever. We just do what we think is right. And then if you want to suggest changing those rankings, I can do that. I would notify our mayor and city administrator, try to adjust the rankings, and then it would be submitted to council. Again, it doesn't mean anything that it's going to be approved or not for the budget. It's just a priority ranking. So with that, if you have any questions, the only thing that I would add to the discussion of the CIP plan, I know it's been talked about. I know it's been identified in the comp plan. It's actually not in the plan, but I would recommend adding it somewhere, is the addition, it would be a low priority, obviously, but the addition of pickleball courts. So we have 4 right now, and in about another 3 weeks, there probably won't be a day that goes by that someone's complaining that we don't have enough of them. So Don won't have to hear it anymore, but but Betty will, yes. So, but I do think it's a facility that is growing in popularity by leaps and bounds, and if we're able to somehow manufacture additional facilities, I don't have any doubt that they would be utilized. So I know Joe Nix is here. So if you have questions for me, great. If not, I know Ron and I talked. Hopefully you can open up the meeting and let him speak to his thoughts on the plan as well.
I guess
Amy.
I-
Did it again. Shayna.
I'd like
Where
to
I'm
know a
thinking.
little, you've got a little blurb about Legion Pool, referring to it as a fluent topic. I'm just wondering what.
Yeah, well, what I mean by that is that while we have a plan, you know, for Legion Pool, that plan can change in the blink of an eye. If I go to open up Legion Pool in 3 weeks and it breaks, I'm guessing the conversation speeds up. You know, so that's what I mean, that it can change in the blink of an eye.
Got it. Thank you.
Any further discussion on that, I would make a motion to open the meeting so that Mr. Nix can speak.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are now in open session. Please state your name and address.
Joe Nix, 227 Bell Avenue. When I saw the agenda, the thing that stood out for me was the discussion of the capital improvement plan. As you know, I've been coming to these meetings for a while. This is really the first I've seen that. I don't know what history the city has had with capital improvement plans. This is the first I've seen of it. And in all the other budget years, I've never seen the budget discussion relate to a capital improvement plan. That's always been ad hoc. So I was actually pleased to see some effort to a bona fide capital improvement plan because, as you know from other comments I've made, that's something that I've always been in favor of rather than the year-by-year system that seems to take place for the parks. But the comment I intended to make about that is that it really shouldn't be just a pro forma process easily discussed and moved on, that a capital improvement plan for a city the size of De Pere is something that should be serious. And I know that Marty kind of qualifies his comments saying it's just a plan, it's not a guarantee that it will be funded. I actually think a good capital improvement plan is more than that and more of a concrete guidance for what should be done. So my encouragement to this committee on behalf of the Planning for the Parks and to the council would be to take this seriously and look at it as if these capital projects for the next 1, 2, 5, maybe 7 years are ones that you actually plan on doing. And look at it that way as opposed to something that is just kind of a general guideline. As you all know, my biggest interest is in Wilson Park, and I'm thankful to Marty for putting Wilson Park as a high priority. And if you look at this, you'd think that it's going to be done next year, which would be terrific. It would have been nice this year because this is the 100th anniversary of the park. Next year will be 101. But I also look at the possible threats to Wilson Park's position. And the first one is that from the memo, it appears as if this is just now passed on to administration, and that the administration will then be perhaps the real decision makers with respect to what's in and what's out. I have a lot of confidence in the park department, Marty and his people, and also in this board. And I'd rather have your opinions govern the day with respect to the Wilson Park priority as kind of outlined by the memo. And I'd ask you not to be too passive with respect to someone else reordering these priorities. The other threat I see to this, to the Wilson Park item in particular, is that, as the memo points out, that this will all depend upon the budgetary funding at the end of the year. So that just because it's in the capital improvement plan means that somebody, either the park board or the city council, can later take it out. And so with respect to that potential threat, I'd ask that the park board stick to its guns on its priorities. My interest is Wilson Park, but it really applies also to everything else. I did have one question that maybe someone can answer, maybe when I'm done, which is with respect to process from here. In other words, this is now going to the city administrator's office, and presumably their changes can be made. Are those changes then subject to review again by the park board? Are they subject to review again by the city council? Or does this simply go from the city administrator's office to the city council for some sort of voice vote? That'll help me determine when I show up next to make comments. Thank you all for listening.
Yeah.
Mark?
Joe, I can answer you real quick.
Yeah,
So
okay.
the next step of this is whatever suggestions that the park board would want to provide gets submitted to the city administrator and the mayor. They then compile all of the capital improvement plans from all the different departments, and then that gets submitted to the council. So it will not be coming back to the park board at all. So if that means that we won't see you, we'll find another topic to bring you back.
Well,
But-
I'll be back here for the budget for sure. But I guess thanks. So I guess my comment applies across the board, right? You know, and Wilson Park gets subsumed within that, is that this process seems to casual to me in a way that, you know, a list is put together, you know, it comes before you, there aren't very many questions, it goes to the city administrator's office, and it doesn't seem that the strong opinions of the park board, which, and you guys are close to the ground on these things than anybody else is really communicated. And I would like to see the park board have more influence rather than what appears to be here simply kind of passing on a list for someone else downstream to decide what's important. So I'm complimenting you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Motion to go to regular session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go back to regular order. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ryan, I do have a comment.
Um,
Are we done?
And, yeah, any opposed? Nay.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. So I appreciate the comments from Joe, but my position is there's a number of things on this capital improvement plan that the administration has ranked in order of importance. I'm going to understand, but there are things on this list that if they fail tomorrow, such as the refab truck 64 and forestry operations, if that dies tomorrow, that is not going, we can't live without the refab truck 64 in the forestry operations. So that's going to go from number 7 to number 1 above all the other things. So I think there does need to be some fluidity in this list for purposes of, you know, replacing Brader roof. If that tree falls on that tomorrow, that roof is going to have to be replaced. So while I may have a preference as to what should be 1, 2, and 3 on here, I think it would not be appropriate for this committee to say this list can't change. And when there would be things that fail, you would be paralyzed by having to come back to this committee the next month to get our permission to reorder.
Mm-hmm.
Any further thoughts or discussion? I, for one, I think this kind of, I mean, this supports our other parks plan, you know, and we're bringing in the things that we have to maintain our parks. And we are adding in the things that will improve our parks. So, I mean, as a whole, I see it here to the comment. I mean, it would be great if we could fund everything, but there is a limit to how much we can put into the capital items. So I do understand that we can't have everything we would like to have,
Well, we can ask for it all.
but we can ask for it, which we do. I would entertain a motion.
We don't need it to
It's
discuss.
a discussion.
Yeah, it's just a discussion item. So it
It'd
would
be
just.
very entertaining, though.
I would need any, if you're okay with the document as is, do you want me to add something, i.e. pickleball? Do you want me to suggest something different than what you see?
When you were mentioning pickleball, are you saying convert a
Nope.
tennis court?
No, we don't have any more facilities to convert. This would, my comment would be based on a brand-new facility.
Okay.
Right. Sorry. What I guess, Marty, what is the significance of adding it this year, and what number would you give it? Because it's not, you're not going to ask for it to be done in 2024, I'm going to assume.
No, I don't think, if you would suggest that we include it in the plan, I would not recommend it being put in for 2025. It'd probably be something in 2026, 2027, and it would fall in the ranks of a new project, which would put it after any repair, safety, or, replacement project.
Can you do that? We wanted to do that?
Let's add it.
Except we can, but I'm just looking for direction if that's what you want.
I think it should
Okay.
be on there. I mean, it's at least part of the plan.
Okay, well, I'll look at asking it be added in like 2026, 2027 as a new project, which would rank, a little bit down the list. But then at least it's on there.
Do you want us to bring that back at some point to discuss where it would go?
I don't know if I don't know if the discussion is at that level, because I don't know if you'd want to start talking about it until you know you're going to have funding for it. And we could spend a lot of time trying to figure out where to go, and if the council is not going to be able to give you money for it, it's a lot of time and energy talking about something that is not going to happen.
All right, if there's no further discussion, I believe we accept it with that addition. And our last discussion item, the announcement and retirement of current park superintendent Don Melichar.
Yeah, so Don is down to his last 24 hours, actually. So, just real quickly, Don, obviously his last day, and he's officially retired as of tomorrow. So it's a sad, very, very sad day for us. He's essentially been with the city for about 24 years. Started as a city forester. Over time, his role grew to the park superintendent. I don't know, the sad part of, there's lots of sad reasons, sad things with Don leaving, but one of the saddest is that I fully believe our community does not have an understanding or appreciation of what this gentleman has done. He's been our weed commissioner. He's been our sidewalk commissioner. And if any of people understand what comes with those two horrific jobs, there's nothing pleasant. He's responsible for going out and telling people that you have a problem, you need to fix it, and if you don't, we have to charge you. And it leads to just a lot of colorful conversations. And Don handled it over the last 15, 20 some years unbelievably. He's a certified pesticide applicator. So he went out and got a certified pesticide applicator's license. He's a certified playground inspector. Served on our beautification committee, served on the city safety committee, on the MSC safety committee. And probably one of his biggest accomplishments that he probably cringes about, he led us through a once-in-a-lifetime event that nobody ever wants to see. We had a tree epidemic where all of our ash trees either died or were about to die. And we warned, I don't even know who was all on the council, but probably about 10 years ago, we warned the city council it was coming. We said it's going to get ugly, and the steps weren't put in place for us to handle it appropriately. Now, that being said, there wasn't one community in this entire state that was ready for it. But Don led us through, and right now, in the span of, 3 years, all of our ash tree problems are gone. Go around and ask the city of Green Bay, ask the village of Alloway, ask probably any other community. where are they with ash trees? And they are still dealing with the problem. And it was a nightmare. Plenty of people upset about it, and I totally get it. I totally understand. You know, there's a dead tree in my front yard. I want it down because it's going to kill somebody. Well, we can't get there. How do you win that argument? And then he's battling with short resources. You know, we all know the data that came out that said we're doing a lot with a little. You know, he had 2 arborists attacking a once-in-a-lifetime, problem, and he did phenomenal. So the city is more than lucky to have him for the last 24 years. And if we could somehow make sure the city understands how lucky they had it the last 24 years, that would be a good day. So, you want to say anything, Don? Any last parting words?
I guess the thing that I can say the most is that I've been blessed to have been chosen by the city of De Pere to be the city forester, and then to progress into the park superintendent. It's an extremely exciting day. I've told a lot of people that. It's also a bit sad, just simply because I have to walk away from so many people, so many friends, so many people I've got to know in the community. Not that I'm walking away from them, because I'll still be around here, but the kind of interactions that you have when you're in this position with the parks, with the city, have been truly amazing. Some of them maybe not so much, but most of them have been very good. And I can, only thank everyone for all they've done. We've had truly fantastic, I should say, administration. Since I was here, we've had 3 administrators. One was here for a month since when I first came in. The second one was here, I believe, he was here maybe 2 years. The third one was here since Larry's been here over 20 years. And they've all been fair. They've all been really genuinely amazing people. We've had 2 mayors. I don't think many cities can say that. We've had 2 amazing mayors. It's incredible to see, how they react and respond in a very considerate manner. They're not in it for an agenda. They're in it for the city. So I've been fortunate to be, work for those gentlemen. In our own building, we've had so many good people. To work under Jerry Perkowski at first, I learned a lot. And then when Marty came in, again, it's one of those things that I'm just so, I say it again, I'm so blessed to have been able to work along with the people that I have. There's just a lot of amazing people in the city. There's a lot of amazing people who have worked for the city, one sitting up here on the park board. It's just, how can I have it any better? I said this morning during our luncheon, I said, you have to, if you're not coming to work to enjoy it, why are you even coming there? I've come to work and I've enjoyed it. I'm not leaving because I hate my job. I'm not leaving because I hate my boss. I mean, that's what they always say, right? People don't leave a job, they leave the boss. Maybe, no. But I'm leaving it because I've been in the business now for 30 years. I'm almost 60. I've got a lot of things coming up. I've got some travel to do with my wife. She's retiring as well. We've got a lot of camping. We want to go a lot of places in the United States. We're going to Alaska this summer, and then I have 2 grandbabies, first ones coming by the end of summer. So it's an extremely exciting time for us right now, and I just feel that it's the right time to graduate. So I thank all of you. The park board today and yesterday have been very good to our department. The people that have been on the park board have been there for good reasons. They've done good things for us, and they've made our job easy. Certainly, we disagree on many things, but that's the way it should be. Everybody shouldn't agree all the time, but we do it respectfully, and we understand each other. So all I can say is thank you. Thank you, Marty. It's been a good ride. It really has. So I guess that's probably the best I can say it. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Really amazing. Anyone else care to add?
Yeah, thanks for the great job you've done. I know you've been out at my house a couple of times talking about trees, which has been really educational. And if you still have 24 hours, I did get a letter this week about my sidewalk cracks that I'd like to talk to you about.
I don't think that's a
Oh, that's not you. That's engineering.
Not that sidewalk, Commissioner.
bummer.
Darn.
I guess I'd like to remind everybody that we're replacing Don with 2 people, because that's how amazing you are. Replacing you with 2 people, because one person couldn't do it. But yeah, when I worked for the city, you came out to my house in Alloway, just as a favor to a coworker, and looked at my ash trees in Alloway that are still there, still standing dead. They weren't dead when I lived there, but they're dead now. But that's just the kind of person that you are. You can go above and beyond and out of your way for other people, and thank you for that. I'll see you at Costco, I hope. I see Don at Costco all the time.
That's our exercise group.
Yeah, that's where we hang out.
And snacks.
Yeah, and snacks.
Like I said, it's been an amazing ride. I'm so thankful for everyone, and I appreciate all you've ever done. I can't believe that I made a living doing some of the things that I've done. It's an amazing thing because it's been so much fun. So thank you very much.
Awesome.
Thank you. Safe travels.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Don't hit an iceberg.
All right. Any future agenda items? All right. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?